The 23-year-old woman who walked into my courtroom that Wednesday morning moved like she was walking onto a red carpet. Willow Smith, daughter of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, one of Hollywood's most powerful families. She wore designer everything, Balenciaga from head to toe, jewelry that sparkled under the courtroom lights, and an expression of absolute boredom mixed with contempt. Like this entire proceeding was beneath her dignity. Behind her came an army of legal representation. 3 attorneys, not 1 or 2. The kind of firepower that costs more per hour than most people in that courtroom earned in a week. But sitting in the first row of the gallery, looking fragile and afraid, was someone else entirely. Patricia Reynolds, 58 years old, wearing a simple blouse and slacks. A scarf covered her head, not a fashion statement, but a necessity. She'd lost all her hair to chemotherapy 3 months ago. She was a breast cancer survivor, currently in remission, and she worked as a server at the Capitol Grill to pay for the medical bills her insurance didn't cover. Her hands trembled slightly as they held a tissue. Her eyes, sunken from her treatment, held the kind of exhaustion that comes from fighting cancer and then having to fight for basic dignity. The charges were assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and harassment. According to the police report and multiple witness statements, Willow had been dining at the Capitol Grill when Patricia served her table. When Patricia's hand shook slightly while pouring water, a side effect of her chemotherapy, Willow had mocked her loudly enough for the entire restaurant to hear. "What's wrong with you? Are you drunk? Maybe you should work somewhere that doesn't require steady hands." When Patricia quietly explained she was recovering from cancer treatment, Willow had laughed. Actually laughed. Then she'd said, "Well, maybe you shouldn't be working if you're falling apart. You're making customers uncomfortable. I don't want some sick person touching my food." Patricia had started crying. When the manager asked Willow to lower her voice, Willow had thrown her water glass at Patricia, soaking her. Then she'd posted about it on social media. Worst service ever. Server literally shaking and crying. Maybe stick to jobs you can actually do? Number service industry fail, number first world problems. What I did in the next 14 minutes didn't just shock the courtroom. It destroyed Willow Smith's arrogance so completely that she left in tears. And the video went viral with over 50 million views, showing that cruelty, no matter whose daughter you are, has consequences. If you believe that mocking cancer survivors is unforgivable, that wealth doesn't excuse cruelty, that every working person deserves basic human decency, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what I'm about to do to Willow Smith will remind everyone watching that in my courtroom, your last name means nothing when you've shown contempt for human suffering. Miss Smith, I began looking at the file. You're charged with assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and harassment of Patricia Reynolds, a server at the Capitol Grill. How do you plead? Her lead attorney, Marcus Wellington, stood immediately. Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty to all charges. We believe this incident has been grossly mischaracterized. What occurred was a service complaint that escalated due to Miss Reynolds' oversensitivity. Any statements my client made were expressions of legitimate customer dissatisfaction protected by the First Amendment. I raise my hand. Counselor, the First Amendment doesn't protect you from consequences when you assault someone and mock their medical condition, but I appreciate your creative interpretation. Miss Smith, do you have something to say? Willow looked at me with an expression that made my blood pressure rise. Not remorse, not concern. Irritation mixed with amusement, like this was all a joke. Your Honor, honestly, this is ridiculous. I complained about bad service. She started crying. I left. Now I'm being criminally prosecuted because she's playing the victim and people recognized who I am. It's a shakedown. The words landed in the courtroom like a bomb. Patricia Reynolds, sitting with that scarf covering her bald head, looked down at her hands. Miss Smith, you just accused a cancer survivor of playing the victim and attempting a shakedown. Do you understand how that sounds? She shrugged. Your Honor, I'm just being honest. People see my parents' names and they see dollar signs. This happens all the time. The prosecutor, Miss Chen, please present the evidence. Jennifer Chen stood and approached with a tablet. Your Honor, we have extensive evidence. First, restaurant security footage showing the entire incident. May I play it? I nodded. The bailiff dimmed the lights, and the monitor came to life. The footage showed Willow sitting at a table with two friends, all of them dressed expensively, scrolling through their phones. Patricia approached with a water pitcher. As she poured into Willow's glass, her hand trembled slightly, barely noticeable, but enough that a few drops spilled onto the table. Willow's head snapped up. We couldn't hear the audio yet, but her expression was one of disgust and anger. She said something. Patricia immediately apologized, grabbed the napkin to wipe the spill. Willow said something else, gesturing at Patricia's hands. Patricia looked mortified, said something back while touching her scarf. That's when Willow threw her head back and laughed. A full, mocking laugh. Her friends joined in. Patricia's face crumpled. The manager approached. Willow stood up, still saying something, then grabbed her water glass and threw the contents directly at Patricia's chest, soaking her uniform. Patricia stood there, dripping, crying. Willow grabbed her designer purse and walked out, her friends following, all of them laughing. Your Honor, Jennifer said, we also have audio from other diners' cell phones. May I play it? Yes. The audio began, Willow's voice clear and cutting. What's wrong with you? Are you drunk? Maybe you should work somewhere that doesn't require steady hands. You're making everyone uncomfortable. Patricia's voice, quiet and shaking. I'm so sorry. I'm recovering from cancer treatment. The chemotherapy affects my nerves sometimes. I apologize for the spill. Willow's laugh, loud and cruel. Cancer? Well, maybe you shouldn't be working if you're falling apart. You're making customers uncomfortable. I don't want some sick person touching my food. Go home, get better, or don't work. The manager's voice, Miss, please lower your voice. You're disturbing other guests. I'm disturbing people? She's the one shaking and crying like a disaster. This is supposed to be a nice restaurant, not a charity hospice. The sound of water splashing, Patricia gasping, there. Now you can go change and maybe take the hint. Some people aren't cut out for customer service. When the audio stopped, the courtroom was silent. I could see several people in the gallery crying. One woman had her hand over her mouth in shock. I looked at Willow Smith. Her face had gone pale, but her jaw was set, defiant. Miss Smith, you just heard yourself mock a cancer survivor. You told her she shouldn't be working. You called her a disaster. You suggested a restaurant with her in it was a charity hospice. You threw water at her. Do you have anything to say? Her attorneys were whispering frantically in her ear. She ignored them. Your Honor, I was frustrated. The service was bad. She was shaking, and I felt uncomfortable. I expressed my discomfort. Maybe I could have been more polite, but I don't think I should be prosecuted for complaining about bad service. I set down my pen very carefully. Miss Smith, she wasn't providing bad service. She spilled a few drops of water because chemotherapy damaged her nervous system. That's a side effect of fighting cancer. And your response was to mock her suffering and tell her she shouldn't be working. Your Honor, I didn't know the extent of her medical condition. She mentioned cancer, but I thought she was making excuses. You thought a woman wearing a headscarf because chemotherapy took her hair was making excuses? Willow's face flushed. Lots of people wear headscarves. How was I supposed to know? I turned to Patricia Reynolds. Mrs. Reynolds, please approach. She stood slowly and walked to the front. Up close, I could see how thin she was, how the treatment had aged her, how exhausted she looked, even standing there. Mrs. Reynolds, tell me your story. Tell me about your cancer, your treatment, and what happened that night. Her voice was quiet, fragile. Your Honor, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer 18 months ago. I had surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. The treatments cost over $200,000. My insurance covered some, but I still owe $60,000. That's why I work at the Capitol Grill, to pay my medical debt. She touched her scarf unconsciously. The chemotherapy took my hair. It damaged my nerves, which is why my hands shake sometimes. It destroyed my immune system. It made me weak and tired. But I work because I have to, because medical debt doesn't wait for you to feel better. Tears ran down her face. That night, I was having a hard day. My oncologist had just told me I needed more scans because they saw something concerning. I was scared, but I went to work because I needed the money. When I spilled those few drops of water, I was mortified. I apologized immediately. And then her voice broke completely. She laughed at me. She mocked my shaking hands. When I explained I had cancer, she laughed harder. She told me I shouldn't be working, that I was making people uncomfortable, that the restaurant was becoming a hospice. Your Honor, I survived cancer. I fought for my life. And she made me feel like I was worthless, like my suffering was funny, like I should be ashamed for working while sick. Patricia looked directly at Willow. I'm not playing victim. I am a victim. You victimized me. You hurt me when I was already hurting. And then you posted about it online like it was entertainment. The courtroom was silent, except for the sound of people crying. Jennifer Chen spoke again. Your Honor, the social media posts. She displayed them on the monitor. Willow's Instagram posted an hour after the incident a selfie of her and her friends at another restaurant, all of them laughing. The caption, worst service ever at Capitol Grill. Server literally shaking and crying. Maybe stick to jobs you can actually do? Number service industry fail. Number first world problems. Number by Felicia. Below. Hundreds of comments. Some supportive of Willow. But many, after other diners posted about what really happened, condemning her. You mocked a cancer patient. Disgusting. Check your privilege. Your parents would be ashamed. And Willow's response to the criticism. People are so sensitive. It's called customer service. If you can't handle it, quit. I stood up. When I stand during a hearing, everyone knows something significant is about to happen. But this time, I walked down from the bench, eliminating the distance between us, and stood directly in front of Willow Smith. Miss Smith, look at me. She raised her eyes, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of fear. For 23 years, you've lived in a bubble of privilege. Your parents are Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, talented, successful people who've worked hard for their achievements. But you were born into it. You've never had to work 2 jobs. You've never had to choose between paying rent and buying groceries. You've certainly never had to work through cancer treatment to pay medical debt. I paused. Patricia Reynolds is 58 years old. She's worked since she was 16. She raised 2 children as a single mother. She's never missed a rent payment. She's never been fired. She's never even been late to work. And 18 months ago, she found a lump in her breast that turned out to be cancer. Stage 3, life-threatening. I walked to where Patricia stood. Mrs. Reynolds, may I see under your scarf? She looked uncertain, then slowly removed it. Her head was completely bald, her scalp showing scars from where IVs had been placed for treatment. This is what chemotherapy does, Miss Smith. It takes your hair, your strength, your dignity. It poisons you to save you. Mrs. Reynolds went through this for 18 months, and 2 weeks after finishing her last treatment, she went back to work because she had no choice. The medical bills were crushing her. She worked through exhaustion, through pain, through fear that the cancer might come back. I turned back to Willow. And you laughed at her. You mocked her, shaking hands. Hands that shake because poison was pumped through her veins to kill the cancer. You told her she shouldn't be working. You called her a disaster. You threw water at her. And then you posted about it online like it was comedy. If you believe that mocking cancer survivors deserve severe consequences, that privilege must never excuse cruelty, share this video right now, because what I'm about to do will destroy Willow Smith's arrogance and teach her a lesson fame never could. Miss Smith, here's what's going to happen. The evidence against you is overwhelming. The video, the audio, your own social media posts. I find you guilty of assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and harassment. Her attorney jumped up. Your Honor, this is a first offense. My client is young. She made a mistake. Your client is 23 years old. She's not a child. She's an adult who made a choice to be cruel to someone suffering. Sit down, counselor. I looked at Willow. Here is your sentence. You will serve 60 days in the Rhode Island Women's Correctional Facility. Not house arrest, not community service, actual jail time. You will spend 2 months learning that cruelty has consequences. Willow's face went white. Your Honor, I can't go to jail. I have a career. You have consequences to face. Additionally, after your release, you will complete 500 hours of community service at the American Cancer Society. You will work with cancer patients, hear their stories, understand their struggles. You will learn what you mocked. You will also pay full restitution to Mrs. Reynolds. Her medical debt of $60,000 will be paid in full by you. Your parents' money can't fix this, but it can at least lift this burden from the woman you hurt. Furthermore, you will create a public video apology, addressing what you did, acknowledging the cruelty of your actions, and apologizing to cancer survivors everywhere. That video will be posted on all your social media platforms, where your millions of followers can see that actions have consequences. Willow was crying now, her carefully maintained composure shattered. Your Honor, please, this will ruin my reputation, my career. You ruined your reputation when you mocked a cancer survivor and posted about it online. I'm just making sure you face accountability for it. I turned to Patricia Reynolds. Mrs. Reynolds, your medical debt is eliminated. Miss Smith will pay it in full. Additionally, I'm ordering her to pay you $15,000 for pain and suffering. You will never see Willow Smith in your workplace again. I'm issuing a restraining order prohibiting her from entering any establishment where you work. Patricia was crying, overwhelmed. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. Mrs. Reynolds, you are a survivor. You survived cancer. You survived financial devastation. You survived cruelty. You deserve better than what this world has given you, and today I'm trying to give you a small piece of the justice you deserve. I looked at the gallery. Let me say something to everyone here. Cancer doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor, famous or unknown. It takes loved ones from us. It destroys families financially, and the people who survive it are warriors who deserve our respect, our support, and our compassion. Willow Smith mocked that suffering. She laughed at someone's pain. She treated a cancer survivor like an inconvenience, and she posted about it online for entertainment. That's not just cruelty. It's a moral failing that reveals character. Today, she's learning that character matters more than fame, that compassion matters more than status, and that how you treat people when they're vulnerable defines who you are. The gavel fell. The bailiff approached Willow to take her into custody. She looked at her attorneys desperately. Call my father. He'll fix this. He has to. Miss Smith, I said quietly, your father is known as one of Hollywood's kindest people. He's known for treating everyone with respect, from stars to crew members. What you did is the opposite of everything he's taught you. He can't fix this. You have to face it. As they led her away, she passed Patricia Reynolds. Patricia stood and did something extraordinary. She looked at Willow and said, I hope you learn from this. I hope you become better. And I hope you never make another person feel the way you made me feel. Willow broke down completely, sobbing as they took her to holding. 3 months later, after serving 60 days and beginning her community service, Willow appeared in my courtroom one more time. She looked different. No designer clothes, simple jeans and a t-shirt, her hair pulled back, her face bare of makeup, and her eyes held something they hadn't before. Genuine remorse. Your Honor, I've completed my jail time and I'm halfway through my community service. I wanted to come back and say something. She looked at Patricia Reynolds, who'd agreed to be present. Mrs. Reynolds, I'm sorry. I was cruel. I was privileged. I was everything wrong with people who've never struggled. You were fighting cancer and I mocked you. You were working to survive and I told you to quit. You were already suffering and I added to it. Her voice cracked. The past 3 months, I've met cancer patients at the American Cancer Society. I've heard their stories. I've seen their strength. I've understood, finally, what you were going through. And I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of who I was, of what I said, of how I treated you. Your Honor, you said character matters more than fame. You were right. I'm trying to build character I never had. I don't know if I'll succeed, but I'm trying because of you, because of Mrs. Reynolds, because I finally understand that how you treat people matters more than anything else. Patricia stood and walked to Willow. I forgive you, not because you've earned it completely, but because you're trying. Keep trying, keep learning, keep becoming better. They embraced, both crying, and the courtroom erupted in applause. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel. Share it with anyone who needs to understand that cruelty has consequences, that cancer survivors deserve respect, that privilege never excuses treating people as less than human. Willow Smith mocked a cancer survivor, and I destroyed her arrogance in seconds. But more importantly, through accountability and consequences, she learned to become a better human being. That's not just justice, that's transformation. Court adjourned.